What's good, YouTube? It's Joey, and today we're coming with updated predictions. Let me just take all this away because this was before the Julio Jones trade. We're going to start fresh with the Tennessee Titans and the AFC South prediction because the Julio Jones to Tennessee has changed a lot. So today we're going to be predicting the Tennessee Titans. Like and subscribe. Road to 400 subs. Let me know what you think about my predictions down in the comments. We're going to kind of look at these more in depth, but I'm feeling confident about a lot of my predictions. But anyways, let's get into it. Cardinals Titans week 1. I originally picked the Cardinals to win this game, but now the Titans have Julio, and that means they can run the ball with Derrick Henry and set up the play action. Now, teams that can have a good run defense inside, and they need a couple good cornerbacks, like really good cornerbacks outside. So it's going to make it very hard for teams to defend the Titans. Plus, Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback. So, the Cardinals aren't really the best out there with the cornerbacks at the perimeter, and they have good inside linebackers, but they kind of struggle. I think I'm going to give this one now. I'm going to change it because Julio Jones is now in the Titans. I kind of changed this one. The Titans have good pieces on defense. Caleb Farley, we don't know it. The back injury is pretty significant. They got Janoris Jenkins, but they have a lot of, outside of that, their corners and their secondary is iffy, but they have talent on that defense. I'm going to give it to the Titans because the Cardinals' interior defensive line isn't the great. Even though they have good inside linebackers, they kind of struggled versus the run last year. And then the play action and stuff, I don't think the corners can match up with A.J. Brown and Julio. So I'm going to give this one to the Titans now. Julio Jones just makes such a big impact on their team. But next we have the Titans versus the Seahawks. This one's going to be a tough one too. Both secondaries are going to be tested. I'm just leaning towards the Titans. I think the Seahawks could come up with a good defensive game plan up front. They have good linebackers with Wagner and stuff to kind of slow down Henry. The Seahawks defense is either playing good or their offense is playing good. They can't get both going at the same time. So I'd take Russell Wilson over Ryan Tannehill. I'm going to actually change this one. I'm going to go with the Seahawks here. I think this is kind of an early season Russell Wilson burning the Titans secondary. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett down the field. And they kind of get Chris Carson involved. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I'm going to give it the edge to the Seahawks. I'm just feeling the Seahawks in this matchup. Now, if it was later down in the season, maybe I'd take the Titans, but it's in Seattle too, so I'm going to take the Seahawks. All right, so against the Colts, I'm feeling the Titans in this first one just because the Colts have a good front seven, but that secondary may be a little weak. I'm actually going to have them split. I'm going to have the Titans win at home, and then the Colts win on the road. The Colts' weapons aren't the best. They have T.Y., who's aging. Michael Pittman, I think, can have a breakout year. But the Colts are that kind of up-front, strong team. Carson Wentz, I don't have the most confidence in. So I'm going to say the Colts win down later in the road because of their strong front seven. Maybe they take away Derrick Henry completely and force the Titans to become a drop back, straight pass team. And they might be better with Julio and A.J. Brown in the straight drop back pass game. But they were pretty bad at it last year when they didn't have their play action to rely on. So I'm going to have them split that. But I'm going to have them beat the Jets here in week 4. I just think the Jets secondary is just so bad. Their corners are so bad. I like Zach Wilson. I like their young offense. I like their potential, but I just don't think they're there yet. They just have so many things to improve upon. I just think the Titans will be able to get that play action going. I mean, Corey Davis, it's a revenge game, but I don't know. I think it could be a high scoring game, but I'm gonna take the Titans here. So the Titans and the Jaguars. Trevor, I just don't know if this defense is ready. I think the Jaguars' run defense has been so bad. Derrick Henry has destroyed the Jacksonville Jaguars defense just time and time again. It's not they're just not good against the run when it comes to the Titans, and plus now you got to defend Julio, AJ Brown on the perimeter. I just don't. It's not going to go well for the Jags. So Titans, I have them getting the win, but I'm going to have them take an L to the Bills here. I just think that the Titans secondary is just going to have a hard time with this Bills passing attack, and that Josh Allen is going to have time to roll out and do his thing. I think it's going to be a high scoring game, but the Bills, I just trust their secondary and their defense to make just enough plays more than I trust the Titans to do that. I just think it's a Josh Allen game. I just think he's going to throw for a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, and win this game. So I'm going to take the Bills. And then here, Titans Chiefs. Now this is a tough matchup. The Titans have an improved pass rush with Bud Dupree. They have Harold Landry on the opposite side. They didn't really let him rush the passer too much last year. But that improved offensive line of the Chiefs is really going to give Mahomes an edge in Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. I think that Titans defense is just going to struggle versus this Chiefs offense. But then again, I think the Titans offense is going to make plays and be able to score against the Chiefs. I'm still going to take the Chiefs in this one, though, because I think Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed had a really good rookie year. So I think he improves. And I think they have some underrated corners over there that could just do just enough to win a shootout. So I'm going to take the Chiefs there. The Colts and Titans splitting. Already said that. Titans and Rams. I think the Titans go on a little cold streak here for a few games. I think the Rams are a perfect matchup. I don't think it's a good matchup for the Titans because the Titans secondary, I think, is going to be tested against the Rams. They have two great route runners with Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and then they have the speed with Atwell and Deshaun Jackson, and they have Matt Stafford now. Plus, they can run the football with Akers, and they have Sean McVay. It's going to be a handful for a lot of defenses. Plus, the Titans don't really have the best pass rush getting after the quarterback ability in the league. And then the Rams have Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams who can do a decent job of slowing down Julio and A.J. Brown somewhat, just enough to let the Rams outscore the Titans. And they got Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd. They lost some talent up front. Maybe Derrick Henry can get going, but I just think the Rams are going to win this matchup. But I think they bounce right back and beat the Saints. They're going to beat the Saints because the Saints secondary, Marshawn Lattimore, they lose Janoris Jenkins. Outside of Lattimore, I just don't trust their secondary. They franchise tag Marcus Williams, but I think the Titans are going to be able to score on them. And Jameis Winston, I don't really trust him too much. And I just like the Titans in this matchup. I think they're going to score points and do enough defensively to win the game. Then we go on to the Texans. They're coming off a bye, but come on, man. Like, the Texans' defense is so atrocious. Honestly, the Texans might surpass expectations. Their expectations right now is 0-17. They might surpass it with winning one game. I saw that meme. That was kind of funny. But the Texans just have no defense, and their offense isn't really that good without Deshaun Watson. So give me the Titans in this one. Titans, Patriots. Now this one's interesting. The Patriots are I'm just not sure about Cam Newton and his throwing shoulder. Looked like he was laboring last year. So that's my only concern with the Patriots. Plus, their receivers are decent, but they're not the best. Then again, I like their offensive line. I think they're going to be able to run the football very well. They have great tight ends. They got better up front. I think Belichick can game plan for Henry. Their secondary is pretty deep. They have a lot of good corners, and they got the veteran talent in the secondary, so they're deep there. And the Titans are iffy in the secondary. I mean, Caleb Farley is a huge question mark. So I'm not really sure who to take. The Patriots struggled containing Derrick Henry in games past. I'm going to take the Patriots because I think Bill Belichick can game plan for the Titans. And their secondary is really deep. And I think that's going to give the Titans problems. I had the Titans sweeping the Jags. And I think the Titans are going to beat the Steelers, even though the Steelers are really deep defensively. I'm just going to have them winning this game right here. So, because the Steelers' offense, they have great skill positions, but it's just that offensive line is so terrible. So, I'm just not really sold on the Steelers. Bud Dupree revenge game too. Then Titans, 49ers. I'm not sure who to pick here. Kyle Shanahan, I think, is going to scheme his way into scoring a lot of points. So this is going to become a shootout. Plus, the 49ers can game plan well for what the Titans like to do and take away what they do best. So this is going to be a tough matchup here for the Titans. I mean, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, I think they can get open against the secondary. It's just the front seven of the Niners is really good against Henry. And the Niners with Kyle Shanahan are so good scheming stuff up. Kittle and Ayuk and Samuel. I mean, it's towards the end of the season. There might be injuries for the Niners. But I think Trey Lance might be even starting this game by now. So I'm going to take the Niners here in an upset. I just think Kyle Shanahan and his scheme is the difference here. And then another tough one against the Dolphins. The Dolphins have the deep secondary. I just don't think they have enough power up front on the front seven, although I like their linebackers and stuff. I think Derrick Henry, I think that's where the Titans have to go is Derrick Henry run the ball. But Xavier Howard, Byron Jones are really good corners. But I think the Titans' defense is going to struggle a little bit with Jalen Waddle and that speed. Tua, I think he can improve this year, although I want to see him play before I get too high on Tua. So I'm kind of staying off, hyping him up a little bit until I see him play. So Jalen Waddle is going to be quite speedy and tough for this Titans secondary to defend, plus Will Fuller. So they got some speed out there, plus Devontae Parker. So they got a lot of depth at receiver, but it's just Gesicki. I also like a tight end. But their offensive line isn't that good. So I'm back and forth on this one. I think the Dolphins lose the battle up front, though. So that's what I'm going to say Titans for now, just because the battle is won in the trenches. That's what they say. But the Dolphins secondary and the receivers is where they win that matchup. But the trenches, I'm going to take the Titans. It's close. I can go back and forth on that matchup. But I'm going to have the Titans finishing 10-7, sweeping the Texans because the Texans are so bad. So a lot of back and forth games. They could sweep the Colts. I have them splitting them, but I have them sweeping the Jags and the Texans. I have them losing to the Bills and Chiefs, two powerhouses. Seahawks game could go either way. Chiefs game could go either way. Bills game could go either way. Patriots game could go either way. But I think they don't have an easy schedule. Um, 49ers could go either way. But they don't have an easy schedule, so we'll see. But I changed my picks, and now the Cardinals are third in the division with the 6 seeds so far. We're not done with predictions. But let's go to the Colts now. We're done with the Titans, 10-7. Will it be enough to win the division? You gotta keep watching to find out. So let's go to the Colts. So I had a lot of Colts games already predicted with the other teams I predicted. So we'll just go through these real quick. I had the Colts beating the Seahawks week 1 because I think the Colts will win that battle up in the trenches quite easily. I just don't really the Seahawks secondary versus the Colts receivers is something to watch. They're both decent, but they're not really all that great. So that's going to be interesting to watch. I definitely take Russell Wilson over Carson Wentz. But once reunited with Frank Reich, I think he's going to have a lot of time to throw the football. They got Eric Fisher to fix their left tackle position. So that was definitely a W for the Colts. And I think it's going to be a weird game. I just think the Colts up front defensively, they're just going to do just enough to win this. I think Frank Reich is going to out-coach Pete Carroll here. But this definitely could go back and forth. I could see Russell Wilson going off week 1 and winning this one. But I have them losing to the Rams. I just think the Rams secondary is going to make it hard on Carson Wentz. I think he'll have a decent enough time to throw, but an Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd pass rush might be just enough to throw him off a little bit. Excuse me. I think that an Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd pass rush would be enough to throw Carson Wentz in that offense off a little bit. And then on the opposite side of the ball, Stafford might be under duress a little bit, but I think that his weapons will be open and they'll do just enough to win there. Sean McVay, I think, can scheme some stuff up real well. So I had the Colts splitting with the Titans. I explained that in the Titans predictions earlier, so go watch that. I had the Colts Dolphins. I had the Dolphins winning this one because of their secondary against the Colts' weapons is just such a mismatch. I think Wentz will struggle against a good defense like this. Tua's going to be under duress, though. He is, but I think he can find Waddle, he can find Fuller, and that Colts secondary is going to be tested. Devontae Parker and Gesicki. So Brian Flores, really good coach. I think the Dolphins can pull this one out. Although it could go either way, it's pretty close, but I'm going to take the Dolphins. Colts, Ravens. Who am I going to take? This one's a tough one. Lamar's running ability. I think the Colts can come up with a good defensive game plan up front to kind of slow him down. And his weapons out wide. They're going to have to resort to a little bit more passing. So I think the Colts can slow down the Ravens' offense. Although the Ravens' secondary, I think this is a defensive battle, kind of like it was last year with Rivers. So I'm going to trust Lamar and the Ravens just to make enough plays to pull this game out. With Bateman and Watkins, I think they're kind of the difference makers, along with Hollywood and Mark Andrews. Um, I take Lamar Jackson over Carson Wentz. So I think that's just the difference in a kind of 24-17 type of game, kind of like that. So Colts, Texans, give me the Colts, easy. Texans are bad. I'm going to try to find one game the Texans could possibly win. Uh, I don't think they can. Tyrod Taylor, like I don't know who their quarterback is going to be. It's not going to be Deshaun, so the Texans are down tremendous. I'm going to take the Colts there. Colts 49ers. I'm going to take the Colts, even though the 49ers are coming off the bye. Um, the Colts are strong up front, like the 49ers are, but it's Kyle Shanahan could scheme something up, but I think that Colts pass rush could get after it. That defense, and I think it's kind of a tough. It's a back and forth matchup for me. Um, I'm gonna take. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna take the Niners. I'm actually gonna take the Niners because I think the Niners can take away the Colts' run game. What they like to do well. The Niners are off the bye. Kyle Shanahan, I think, can scheme up ways to score, and I'm gonna take the Niners there. I'm feeling it. It's a back and forth game. But I had the Colts splitting with the Titans. Go watch the Titans part in the earlier part of the video. Then I had the Colts beating the Jets because the Jets are just not good enough. I take Zach Wilson could be playing better than Carson Wentz. I haven't seen Zach Wilson take a snap. But the Jets are pretty good at wide receiver. I think that they could be scoring quite a bit on the Colts. It's just that Jets secondary is pretty weak. I think Frank Reich can give Carson Wentz enough opportunities to win, so I'm going to take the Colts there. I'm going to take the Colts against the Jaguars. I mean, the Colts, actually, I'm going to have them split the Jaguars because this happens every year. This happens every single year. The Jaguars somehow pull an upset versus the Colts. And I think this is kind of a Trevor Lawrence game, kind of tears apart the Colts secondary type of game. And I think that the Jaguars secondary with C.J. Henderson, they get Shaquille Griffin. I think that could pose problems for Wentz. So I'm going to have them split. Last year, the Jaguars' only win was versus the Colts week 1. So, like, it's a divisional game. You never know which way these games are going to go. So I'm going to have that happen. And then the Bills versus the Colts. I had the Bills winning here. I just think, it's another Josh Allen game. I think he's going to be running around and just bombing it to Stephon Diggs. He's got Emmanuel Sanders now, Cole Beasley. So I think that Carson Wentz is in that passing game is not going to be able to keep up with Josh Allen in his passing game. So give me the Bills there. And then the Buccaneers, I have them beating the Colts. Tom Brady over Carson Wentz. And I like the Buccaneers supporting cast way better than I like the Colts supporting cast. And the Buccaneers are just so good across every single part of their roster. The Colts might be able to get after Tom Brady and make him uncomfortable, but I'm taking the Colts here. Or no, the Buccaneers here. And then here, I'm gonna say the Colts sweep the Texans, just because the Texans are really bad. That offensive line's a mess. The Colts are just gonna get after it and just really make the quarterback's life really, really hard. And sorry, it's just not gonna look good. The Texans also struggle on defense, so they're gonna be my worst team in the league for sure. And then I have them beating the Patriots off the bye. Why do I have this happening? It's going to be kind of a defensive battle. The Patriots are going to struggle running the ball versus the Colts. Darius Leonard, DeForest Buckner, and all those guys up front are going to make it tough for the Patriots to run the ball up front. And so they're going to have to resort to the passing game, kind of. But the Colts are also going to struggle throwing the ball against the Patriots, so it's going to be tough. I'm actually going to switch this and say the Patriots win this game because I think the Patriots will slow down the Colts' offensive passing attack, and I think Bill Belichick's game plan is going to make Carson Wentz's life really, really hard, and I like the Patriots. Give me the Patriots there. Then the Colts-Cardinals game. I had the Colts beating the Cardinals because that pass rush is going to get after Kyler Murray. DeAndre Hopkins and those receivers might be able to get free. But the Colts are going to run the ball, run and pound, and those corners can probably hold their own for a bit, but I think Carson Wentz and that offense can get going. So I'm going to take the Colts there. I took the Colts versus the Raiders earlier. I'm going to have an updated Raiders prediction. Sorry, Raiders fans. Video is going to be coming out in like a week or something. But Colts over the Raiders because the Raiders got rid of Trent Brown. They got rid of quite a bit of offensive linemen. So Rodney Hudson they got rid of. Gabe Jackson they got rid of. They got Leatherwood. But the Raiders can develop and get the offensive linemen good. But I just think the Colts win up front in this matchup. Derek Carr, that offense might be able to get something going, but I think the Colts front seven slows down Josh Jacobs, and Carson Wentz is able to score quite a bit on the Raiders secondary. And then I have the Colts splitting with the Jags. So 8-9 season for the Colts. They had so much money and in free agency. I think they could go 9-8 like this. Best case scenario. Let's do a best case scenario. Kind of like I'd say this is a best case scenario. 12-5 like this. Worst case is kind of like this is the 9-8. Or this is the 8-9. This is where I had them before. Worst case is kind of like that. That's worst case 5-12. So I have them in their medium part 8-9. So I could see them going from like 12-5 to 5-12 to 8-9 realistic. So the Colts are it's going to be a team to watch next year for sure. So we'll see how they do. But I'm going to stick with this. I'm feeling good about this. They have this tough schedule, including the defending Super Bowl champs, the AFC runner-ups, the 49ers who are good when healthy, Ravens, the Titans are in their division who are getting better, Patriots who are getting better, and then the Rams. I have them splitting with the Jags. So we'll see. Maybe I was a little bit too harsh, but 8-9, it's not good. It's not bad. So the Jaguars, week 1 against the Texans. I'm going to have them start off strong. I think this is a good opportunity for Trevor Lawrence to have a good debut in the NFL. So give me the Jaguars over the Texans to win this game. I think that Trevor is going to be finding his receivers open left and right. So the Texans just have no talent. Broncos, Jaguars. I had the Broncos winning this one because of their pass rush and that deep secondary, plus their deep receivers. They're just really good outside of quarterback. But I just think the Broncos have a much deeper roster than the Jaguars. So I'm going to give that to the Broncos. Cardinals, Jaguars, I had the Cardinals winning this one because Kyler Murray, I think it's going to be kind of a challenge for this Jaguars defense to handle him. I think that defense could do a decent job slowing down the Cardinals, but the Cardinals' pass rush could definitely slow them down. Their linebackers, Trevor Lawrence might be able to score some points, but I'm just going to say the Cardinals win this one. I think they're the better team, better roster. Give me the Bengals over the Jags. I think this is going to be a close, entertaining game for Trevor Lawrence and these guys. But I'm going to say the Bengals still win because Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, I mean, they just have so much offensive firepower. That offensive line is scary. And it's definitely going to limit their potential quite a bit. If they had a decent offensive line, they would have a lot of potential. But I think it's going to be a shootout. But I think Joe Burrow definitely has more experience in this league, proven he's the better quarterback so far. Even because Trevor hasn't taken a snap in the NFL. So give me the Bengals here. Titans over the Jags. I had the Titans sweeping the Jags because Derrick Henry always tears his defense apart, and the Titans are just the better team now. They have Julio. I had the Jaguars pulling off the upset against the Dolphins. I think this was just one of the games where you expect one team to win, but it's just a wild upset happens, kind of like the Jets versus the Rams last year. These games always happen. So I think that Trevor Lawrence outdoes Tua here. Trevor got DJ Chark, and he's got some nice weapons here. So I'd say he also got Marvin Jones, who's an underrated receiver, Chenault. So the Dolphins' secondary is definitely deep, but their offensive line definitely is not. So the Jaguars with Shaquille Griffin, C.J. Henderson, it's going to be a close game, but I think Trevor Lawrence, it's just a Trevor Lawrence finds a way to win game in an upset, one of these random upsets. But Shaquille Griffin, revenge game, Jaguars off the bye. I gave the Seahawks this win, though. I think the Seahawks, Russell Wilson kind of finds a way to win this game. I think it's kind of like a 27-20 game with Russell Wilson in the fourth quarter, finding a way to win with Metcalf and Lockett. And they signed Everett. We'll see how he does in Seattle. But Chris Carson, I like him. I think the Seahawks can find a way to win this game. Although I think it is a tough matchup. I think the Jaguars definitely could pull this upset off. But I'm going to stick with Seattle. Jaguars, Bills. I'm the Bills pulling this one off. I just think Josh Allen outduels Trevor Lawrence, and the Bills take this one. I think the Bills' offense can just be so explosive. But I had the Jaguars splitting with the Colts with an upset here. Colts prediction section, go watch that. I had the Jaguars there. But I had the 49ers coming back with a win. Kyle Shanahan, I think, is going to scheme well versus that defense. Trey Lance might be starting by now, which I think would give the 49ers a boost in their offense. And then Trevor Lawrence versus that defense. Nick Bosa is coming back, so that they have that strong front seven again. So give me the 49ers there. Jaguars definitely could pull this upset off. I think the Jaguars are going to be similar to like last year's Bengals, although hopefully Trevor Lawrence stays healthy. But with a young rookie quarterback, a new look team, but I think they're just going to be a below average team to a bad team in the end because they're not there yet. But I do have them beating the Falcons, a Falcon less Julio Jones team. So they just have Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, Matt Ryan, and Grady Jarrett as their big guys. It's going to be a high scoring game, but I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a Trevor Lawrence game and rip apart that Falcons defense. So give me the Jags, but I think the Rams will win this game. I think it's a good matchup for the Rams. Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams, that secondary is just so good. I think they're Aaron Donald. They're just going to give Trevor Lawrence some problems, and Matthew Stafford in that offense is just pretty high powered. So I think they're going to score quite a bit. I think it's going to be like a 30-17 type of game. The Jaguars are going to struggle in that one. Then the Titans, I'm splitting the Jags. Again, go watch my Titans portion of the video. Derrick Henry is just going to run over them. But can the Texans kind of win one game in the whole entire year? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm just going to have them sweeping the Texans. It's Trevor Lawrence. It's just so much better. He's just going to tear apart that defense. That offense is just they lose Will Fuller, Deshaun Watson. Those were their two best offensive players. They lose arguably their best defensive player in J.J. Watt, and there wasn't much there to even begin with. So I made the Jaguars over the Texans. I had the Jaguars over the Jets, number 1 overall pick versus number 2 overall pick. And a definitely interesting battle. I just think Trevor Lawrence, the Jets secondary is worse, and that's where it comes down to. So I think Trevor is going to outduel Zach Wilson, although that's going to be a pretty interesting game to watch. It'll be back and forth, but give me the Jaguars. But then I have them losing the Patriots. Deep secondary, better coach. Give me the Patriots here. Running the football, I think they're going to have success. So give me the Patriots there. And then Colts, I had them splitting with the Colts. Watch my previous Colts part. So 6-11 season for the Jaguars. Best case scenario for them. Let's see. Best case scenario is kind of winning that game. Maybe split with the Titans. Kind of a 10-7 is kind of like their best case scenario for me. But I'm going to go back to realisticness, and I'm going to take them back to their 6-11 form. Yeah, I had the Titans sweeping the Jags. Yeah, so I'm going to take them back to their 6-11. Their ceiling is like a 9-8, 10-7 is their ceiling. I don't think they'll be able to reach it. This is their probably realistic, but their worst case is probably like 4-13, 3-14 kind of. So I'm not going to change this around. I want to keep this. This is how I think the Jags will do. So let's move to the Texans. I already have their whole schedule filled out. I have the Jaguars winning week 1. They're going to lose to the Browns week 2. So, like, what kind of game can they possibly win? Like, the Texans have Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. Maybe he can mentor Davis Mills, but both of them are not going to win you games. The Jaguars are just going to win. Like, can they possibly split with the Jaguars? I don't know. Like, the Browns are one of the best teams in the NFL. Their roster is so complete. They just have talent everywhere. Offensive line is going to bully them. They're going to just run the Texans over. They're just going to Baker Mayfield, he can throw. He's just going to throw for so many yards. It's just going to be so ugly. Tyrod Taylor, Davis Mills, it doesn't matter. they're not going to be able to keep up. Myles Garrett's going to eat them alive. Like, I don't know. Maybe they split with the Jags. I mean, that's like their best chance. But the Jags with Trevor now, like. Panthers week 3, Christian McCaffrey's gonna have a big game. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, they have a nice young pass rush, and Texans aren't winning that game. Bills, they're not winning that. The Bills are just gonna shred. Josh Allen's gonna throw for like 5 touchdowns. Like, the Texans secondary is just not even ready, and their offense is gonna struggle versus Tre'Davious White and company. So like. The Patriots, they're in a run over the Texans. Texans know Deshaun Watson. Brandon Cooks is really their only decent receiver. David John, is Mark Ingram gonna save you guys? Like, no. Colts, good defense up front. They're gonna bully the Texans up front. It's just not a good matchup. Like, they're not beating the Colts. Cardinals, they're not beating. The Cardinals are just gonna run over them, and D-Hop is going to go off. Rondale Moore is going to go off. The pass rush is going to destroy whatever quarterback. Rams for sure no. Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams, Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Wood. Like, they're just going to destroy them. Dolphins are going to beat the Texans. Dolphins have that deep secondary. With the receivers to get the job done. They're not going to win that game. Titans are going to run all over them and score. The Jets aren't. The Colts are going to sweep them. Seattle is going to win. Russell Wilson's going to throw for many yards. Trevor in that offense is going to win. Justin Herbert, the 49ers, the Texans are going 0-17. I don't know what to tell you. They're not going to win a single game. I just don't see a single game. These are all much better teams. Every single one of these teams, they're the Texans. I'm sorry, Texans fans. Without Deshaun Watson, you're going 0-17. I can't find a single game for you to win. I just don't know where. Maybe you win one game. Best case scenario for the Texans is to go 0-17 and get the number 1 overall pick. But in terms of their ceiling for wins, I guess this is their ceiling that they're not going to reach. Yeah, that's your ceiling. Like 6-11, 4-13, probably. That's your ceiling that you're just not gonna reach. I don't see that happening at all. I don't see their ceiling happening. Oh, what's he? Switch that back. So I'm gonna have them go to 0-17. So I have the Titans winning the division 10-7. The AFC South has a tough schedule. They have to play the NFC West this year, so that's not gonna be fun. But Titans 10-7, Colts 8-9, Jags 6-11, Texans 0-17. So let me know if you agree with these predictions. I kind of gave you a ceiling and a floor for each one. I didn't do those in previous videos. I'm going to do one video where I give you ceiling and floor for each team. See if I was too harsh on any of them. But thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe, road to 400. And we'll see you all in the next one. We're going to keep coming with predictions. I'm going to change some things around. See what happens. See you in the next one. Peace.